She thought her marriage was perfect, until one sleepless night revealed the ultimate betrayal. Now, her world shattered. She must decide whether to fight for love or rebuild a life without. Rachel Brooks believed she had the perfect life. Married to her husband, Mark, for 10 years, they enjoyed a relationship built on love, success, and mutual respect. Mark was a senior executive at a prominent law firm, while Rachel thrived as an interior designer. Together, they seemed unstoppable, until cracks began to appear. Mark grew distant, frequently working late and avoiding conversations with Rachel. The romantic gestures that had once been a staple of their relationship dwindled. Rachel told herself it was just work stress, but her growing unease couldn't be ignored. Then there was Hannah, Mark's secretary. She had been at the firm for 2 years, and while Rachel initially thought little of her, Hannah's presence became more prominent. At office events and casual gatherings, she seemed overly familiar with Mark. Rachel noticed the change in their dynamic, and her suspicions deepened. One sleepless night, Mark came home late once again. Rachel, driven by her growing distrust, picked up his phone from the nightstand. She hesitated but ultimately needed the truth. As she opened the phone, her worst fears were confirmed. Messages from Hannah filled the screen. "Last night was incredible. I miss you already." Mark's reply, "Can't wait to see you again." Rachel's heart shattered. The texts revealed an affair that had been ongoing for months. The betrayal was clear and devastating. She couldn't believe how the man she trusted had deceived her so deeply. The next morning, Rachel confronted Mark. She sat at the kitchen table, her eyes swollen from crying. "Mark, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. Mark looked confused but sat down across from her. "What's wrong?" "I know about you and Hannah," Rachel said quietly. "I saw the messages." Mark's face went pale. He tried to speak, but Rachel continued. "How long has this been going on?" 6 months, he admitted, guilt evident in his eyes. 6 months of lies and betrayal. Rachel felt as though she had been living a nightmare. "Why, Mark?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Why would you do this to us?" "I don't know," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "I never meant to hurt you. It just happened." Rachel's anger flared. "You destroyed everything we had for this," she said, her heart aching. "I can't stay with you." Mark begged for another chance, claiming he still loved her and that they could fix things. But Rachel knew their marriage was beyond repair. "I need you to leave," she said firmly, despite the pain in her heart. Mark packed a bag and left, leaving Rachel alone with her devastation. The following days were a blur of anger and sadness for Rachel. Her once happy home felt cold and empty. One day, she received an apology message from Hannah, expressing remorse for the affair. But Rachel didn't want an apology. She wanted her lost life back. She blocked Hannah's number, resolute in her decision not to let either of them continue affecting her. Determined to rebuild her life, Rachel immersed herself in her work and sought therapy. Gradually, she began to rediscover her strength and self-worth. The process was painful, but over time, she realized she was more than just a victim of betrayal. She was a resilient individual. A letter from Mark arrived one day, filled with apologies and regret. He begged for her forgiveness, acknowledging his mistake. Rachel read the letter, feeling a mixture of sorrow and resolution. She knew she couldn't return to the past. She met Mark one last time. "I forgive you," Rachel said calmly, "but I can't be with you anymore." Mark nodded, his eyes full of regret. "I understand," he whispered. As Rachel walked away from Mark, she felt a weight lift from her shoulder. The pain had shaped her, but it no longer defined her. She was ready to move forward and create a new life, one where her happiness was solely in her hands.